for part three, I figured we'd talk about application. There seems to be a lot that we could use for application in the modern life that we live in these letters. Is there anything that stands out to you as far as points of application to these letters?
Well, one, I think, the administration of church discipline, which is not popular and not something I would like to engage in often in my life, if at all possible. But also the kind of path to restoration, reconciliation that hopefully follows is one. But also the idea of seeking others' good, even kind of before seeking your own, seeking the good of the group. Before seeking your own, a couple of poignant points.
There seems to be a demand that we have in our modern culture for our rights, and kind of the ultimate virtue, maybe the only virtue in modern culture is to demand one's rights. What does the letters to the church at Corinth have to say to a culture like that?
And Paul makes it quite clear. He's willing to lay down his rights if it's in the good of the church in this case, or in the best interest of those he's in covenant with. And he'd rather lay down his right. His big quote of, "If meat makes my brother to offend, then I will eat no meat while the world standeth." And that's quite uncommon. But Oswald Chambers always phrased it. I have to give up my right to myself. Is kind of what a covenant with God looks like. And the covenant in the community of God should look something similar.
Yeah. There seems to be in the modern world kind of an embrace of, let's just say, a lack of politeness, a lack of manners, a lack of kind of the maintenance of a pleasant appearance. Some might say a downright embrace of ugliness. Is there anything that this letter or these letters to the Corinthian church might have to say about kind of that overall cultural ethic or aesthetic that we have? You can see all kinds of things online of people complaining about, people on a plane taking off their shoes and socks and sticking their feet through the spaces in the seats in front of them and putting their feet on the armrests of the people in front of them, seeming to have no concern about things. Just a general coarseness of our culture. Is there anything that these letters to the Corinthian church would have to say about that?
Sure. I mean, the root of all those things is selfishness, and it's not giving any concern for anyone else around you, but what personally pleases you at the moment. And Corinthians has great things to say about that. And 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, could speak volumes of what love looks like, and it would be very counter to that.
So I can imagine somebody saying now that there's a vanity that we've given up in the modern culture of the need to keep up appearances through politeness and good grooming and trying to look our best and all that kind of stuff. That's all vanity, and really what the modern world is it's embraced what's the word that they use? Authenticity. Is that true?
There's some truth there. It's such a tricky one for me of kind of some of the Victorian ethic where you want to dress up when you go out, as a way to honor those around you and things of the sort. And I think that makes perfect sense. And yet, obviously, we don't dress quite as nicely as we once did on Sundays as a general rule. And, and obviously we wouldn't want to shame somebody who can't afford nice clothes and things of the sort. And so this kind of funny thing, but if I guess if we lose all kind of ambition to, if I come in and I'm still in my pajamas and I'd like to say that my hair's out of place, but that's not really going to be my problem. And, and I've got bad breath because I haven't brushed my teeth and, go down the list of kind of things. I obviously am probably not showing a whole lot of great concern for those around me.
Right. And so it seems like the argument here is about appearances, but what's the deeper issue that's really at the heart of this.
It's once again putting it at the center, having a concern for others more than a concern for yourself.
Right, and so the issue is what's motivating this. You know, we can be vain, but that doesn't mean that having no concern for the experience of other people around us is the answer. Is there anything else in these letters that you think that is a point of application for us in the modern world? It seems like there's a general issue here about kind of dealing with a world that is multicultural and pagan and everything that might be closer to the modern world than we might imagine. And so how do we deal with that?
That's a tough one, but I see, oftentimes in when we have cultural differences, and sometimes there's a fair amount of animosity in between these cultural differences. And Paul here talks about give no offense to the Jews, give no offense to the Greeks, and even when we see him going through Athens, he's like, I see that you guys are all very religious, and he kind of, in an attempt to share the gospel, kind of lays it down there first. But he talks about if at all possible, not giving offense. And again, Paul was never one to water down the gospel, so let's not say that, well, he's like, well, you don't have to stop sinning or anything like that. He never went there, but from a pure cultural standpoint, he never tried to denigrate somebody else's, culture and things of that sort, and if at all possible, not to give offense.
Right, and so it's interesting that he does that, and yet doesn't seem to ever compromise the truth. And to Paul, where's the place of truth in all of this? I mean, he doesn't want to give offense to these people. It seems like the easiest way would be to soft pedal the truth. And so how does he balance those things?
It's one of those things, the truth as far as what's required to be reconciled to God, there's no compromise. But as far as any rights that he may or may not have, he quite often renounces those as kind of a way to not give any offense and to seek the greater good and things of his sort. But he's not willing to compromise the gospel. That's where kind of he draws the line.
Mm-hmm.